So, what sounds like a Minimoog but isn't a Minimoog? Well, the answer is an instrument that samples. Of course, if you sample a Minimoog, you're going to get, pretty authentic Minimoog sounds if you use them correctly. But that's not the surprising thing. People have been sampling Minimoogs forever. What's surprising is the instrument I use to use Minimoog samples on for performances. And the answer is, which I'm sure you already know, the Arturia MicroFreak. Somehow, with the new firmware update version 5, you have the ability to play samples on this thing. And I thought, okay, well, I mean, you know me. I thought, okay, what am I going to do? Everyone else is going to do all the things that you're supposed to do and really show how the firmware works and everything. And I thought, well, what am I going to do? I'm not the digital guy. I'm not the sequencing guy. I thought, well, I'm going to do the thing that I would do with the sampling, well, not sampling ability, but the ability to play samples on the MicroFreak. And that is expand its sound into the vintage analog realm. So I thought, well, what happens if I sample a Minimoog and put the Minimoog samples on here? I did not have great expectations. I thought, it's going to get on there and it's just going to sound ridiculous. But it did not. It sounded great. And I was able, it sounds like a Minimoog if you play it just right. I mean, well, timbrally, it sounds just like a Minimoog. And this thing is capable of having that big, juicy, broad, messy Minimoog sound and performing it realistically. And as you heard on the theme, that's, I can totally make Minimoog sounds with the Arturia MicroFreak. So let me show you the process I went through to get those Minimoog sounds. Here we go. Okay, so our goal here is, we can't make an authentic full-on Minimoog sample. First of all, it's hard to sample analog synthesizers because there's changes over time. And because there are changes over time, we have to deal with variations in time that are generated by speeding the frequency of a sample up or slowing it down. So we can't do a perfect thing. If we really just wanted to get a good Minimoog bass sample, it would have to be something that didn't have any changes in it, didn't have any envelope, and it was just kind of a... Yeah, let's see how this sounds. It seems like the samples get placed right here on the C. I haven't really looked into that yet, but it's definitely something I should look into because I don't even know what notes I sampled. I played E's or D's or A's, and so that's an important thing that you have to keep in mind is what note you sample, because obviously the sample is placed where it's placed. I don't think you have any control over that, and if you do, I don't know where that is, but because you're going to want to sample C's so that Anyway, that is a really interesting sample because you can hear the pitch variation. Okay, on my Minimoog, the key contacts need to be cleaned or serviced. And so some notes, when I don't play it for a while, all of the notes get really shaky and the frequency wobbles on some of them. So that's what we're kind of hearing in this sample. You can hear the frequency kind of all over the place, but that's actually pretty cool as long as it kind of has a tonal center, because it'll make things interesting. It'll give it breadth. It'll give it, to a degree, fatness. It is these flaws that give the Minimoog its sort of characteristic fat sound. So we have that here. Also, there's a kind of a sizzle in there. I don't know what that is. I don't know where that's coming from. Kind of a noise element to this. Anyhow, as a raw material, it doesn't have a whole lot of there's no time-based character that makes this a really great sound, but it is a great oscillator for you to do things that you want to do with. Obviously, the first thing we're probably always going to do is paraphonic. Of course, because as you play the different notes, they are at different frequencies, which means the sample's at different speeds. So it means the higher the note, the faster the sample gets over. So you're always going to have sort of outcomes like that. But of course, we can go in and loop. Anyhow, this is a really nice timbre, and the variation in pitch makes chords sound more vibrant and alive. That's a cool sound, and of course we can go in and Since, and you don't hear people talk about this very much, and you should, since the Minimoog sound is not just the Moog filter, otherwise everything with a Moog filter would sound like a Minimoog, and it does not. The oscillators play a large role in the Minimoog sound. So if you have a sample like this, you're going to have a more Moog sounding thing than you would get from something that isn't a Minimoog. You have a more Minimoog-ish sound. So even using the analog filter here on the MicroFreak, suddenly we've got a great, maybe not Minimoog sound, but definitely a great Moog sound. And unlike the actual Minimoog, you've got the ability to play chords. So that's cool. Which is pretty cool. Okay, this is another just tonal sample, and it is a big fat sound. And I gotta say, like, if we take this sound here, let's just do it. Let's compare that to, let's go down to like basic waves. You can immediately tell the difference. That there's nothing wrong with the oscillator we're using in basic waves, but it's really stable, really solid, bright. It does not have the character that this Minimoog sound has, and it doesn't have the fatness, the breadth that this simple Minimoog sample has. So that right off the bat, we're like actually seeing why we're doing this. So that has a huge low end on it. And of course, then we can certainly go into paraphonic. We can actually boost that low end. Go down an octave. That's a great bass sound. But yeah, it's that is a good, really basic sound. Very useful. But that's not what we're doing. What we're really trying to do is just come up with something fun to put on the MicroFreak so you can play a Minimoog on a MicroFreak. So I'm going to start off just with a pretty standard sound. That's actually a good one. Let's try that. Wow, that's pretty long, so we could actually put a loop on that. I'm having trouble finding a loop point, but still. It is a really Minimoog-y sound. Because it has, you can hear, the filter really shines through, and then the breadth of the oscillator comes through in the sound. So it's... You're never going to get as much as, the oscillators on both the MicroFreak and the MiniFreak are really awesome. And the virtual analog is fine. You're never going to get something that sounds as analog as this out of this unit without these samples, without samples of an actual analog synth, because these are digital oscillators, and as cool as they are, they're incredibly stable, they're incredibly pure, they're incredibly bright. And what we're working with here with these Minimoog samples are really messy, thick, gloppy, variable, flawed oscillators, which give that vintage analog character. The fact that we are getting this sound right now out of a MicroFreak, this inexpensive, small, tiny, capacitive keyboard thing, and then you got this big, warm, fat Minimoog sound coming out of it, it's astounding. This already, I'm just like, okay, shut up. This is a giant fat bass sound. You can't get a sound like this out of this. And I'm probably going to say that with every one of these, but my gosh. That is astoundingly beautiful. And fat as hell. That's gigantic. I can't even... Wow. Okay. What happens if we take it up? It's a nice paraphonic sound. It's a nice polyphonic... actually, it's not even paraphonic right now because we're not even using a filter. And why would we? Deep can we go? It's so low it's already into the clicks, but yeah, this is a great bass sound. It's so big. Wow. Okay. Wow, let's take it out of paraphonic. These, for being single shot samples without layering or zones, these sound amazing. They really are spreading across the keyboard very nicely. We're not having like the sort of degradation that can happen with a real instrument that we'll see in another video. But yeah, these really work. These single shot, tiny Minimoog samples really work as far as usable timbres. That's a nice sound. We can definitely use that. Let's have some fun. Put a little filter emphasis, what we call resonance, on there. Okay, we got some serious resonance going on here. It's kind of obnoxious. But it turns into a really nice bass if you bring it down there. Wow, that is that's a lot of fun. What happens if we take it up higher? That's okay. Let's hear polyphonic version. That's nice.
Because what you're basically doing with these samples, because on some of them I actually use the Minimoog filter in a over time change like this, we can hear the envelope affecting the resonance of the filter and the filter cutoff point. Now, when we use the analog filter in the MicroFreak, we're actually using a second filter, which allows you some effects that you wouldn't get from, for example, this synth, because it only has one filter. So you actually, by sampling something with filter usage, you actually have the ability to get a dual filter outcome, which is pretty cool.
Okay, we've only been using one oscillator, so let's add in some more oscillators. The sad thing about this is we want to have some detuning to get that really broad sound, but detuning causes beats, and beats will speed up and slow down with the frequency changes of the sample, so we kind of don't want beats, but you know, it might be okay. Let's just see what we have. Oh, whoops.
Here we have some multiple oscillator stuff going on the Minimoog. Kind of obnoxious, but still cute. We can use the high pass filter with high resonance to boost the low end of this. So we get away from that kind of pew sound and get into something a little deeper. That's very nice.
That'll be fun.
Now we have a bass that has that sort of resonant filter. And the truth of the matter is, with the Minimoog, the more resonance you have, the less bass you're going to have. But there's still enough bass here to use this as a bass. Still totally cool. What happens if we add polyphony? Sounds a little chirpy up in the high end, but and what happens if we take it lower? Very nice.
And we could do something fun like here. Let's take some of the resonance off there. Let's make a chord.
I thought it'd be really clever with this one, and I took the three oscillators in the Minimoog and made a chord. So, and like as happens with the Minimoog, you get those three oscillators playing a chord. There's this sort of lush distortion that happens. But that's a really cool sound that you can use as a chord, even though, you know, it's like a Minimoog chord on the MicroFreak. decent loop there almost. But it's cool to have that really distorted Minimoog chord going on.
That's a cool thing we can use. Let's make a minor chord too. Listen to that distort, weird. Let's choose a different waveform for that if it's going to be all weird. There we go.
And again, these things sound so good as a single sample spread over these keys. Here's the minor one. The analog filter and the MicroFreak bring something really nice to this. It's already nice, but like I just wanted to see adding the filter. Of course, with these chord ones, bringing it into polyphony, can yield unique results. Not bad. Cool.
Can use that. Let's get a really cool big bass sound. This is good. Ready?
This is such a Minimoog bass. This is like your perfect, typical Minimoog bass, and obviously I've got more than one oscillator going, so there's the detuning that's happening between the oscillators on the Minimoog, and it just sounds immediately great on here. There's a little bit of envelope at the beginning of it that we can leave on or take off by adjusting the start of the sample if you want something more punchy. But that phasing from the different oscillators in the Minimoog is preserved in this sample. I can't believe how much sample space there is in this thing. I bought this thing not ever thinking or knowing that samples would be a possibility on it. So I don't even know what the storage medium for these samples is in here, but it's cool because this is a long sample for something this small. And man, does it ever work. Let's see what this is like. Oh, it makes a really nice polyphonic sound. Wow. That's really nice. And because it has, it's a long sample, you have enough length that you can do decent chord lengths up here. That is a super awesome sample. That turned out really well. Minimoog 10, I'm going to have to remember that. What's going to be a problem is me, I guess, I don't know what frequency, how to assign a particular frequency. This should be interesting. I don't know when you would necessarily need a fifth oscillator tuned to a fifth like this. With this going on, it's a very Minimoog sounding sound, which is why I kept it. Very nice. I don't know. You put that in paraphonic and bring it up. You're going to get some weird chords because there's an interval already present in the sample. But still nice. That's actually pretty cool. Who would ever thought that you'd be able to play an actual Minimoog on a MicroFreak? This is insane. Now let's make just a really warm sound. Let's go up an octave. That's a good sound. This is another great Minimoog type sound with a very poor ending. I kind of wish there's not much I can do about that ending. Let's see. Yeah, it's always going to sound like something cutting off. But maybe. Let's see if adding a loop can fix that. If you have those different loop lengths of the different notes in the polyphony going, they kind of hide the sort of duplication, the repetition of the loop. So that's actually kind of a pretty sound. That turned out nice. Decidedly Minimoog-esque. Let's see, what else can we do? Let's do a bass sound that has kind of that quick attack. Ready? Again, a super nice bass sound. And since it has some length, let's try it up in the high end here in a second. Okay, let's go up higher. That does not sound very Minimoog-ish, but it's definitely a usable synth sound. There, that has a little more character. Very nice bass. That's kind of cool. Anyhow, we're just looking just for some basic Minimoog sounds, and a lot of these will be fine or fun. Let's just see. Oh, you know what we need is we need a good pad sound. So although these time-dependent things are not going to be the best thing in the world, let's switch to the sawtooth triangular and the triangle. Let's get something long. There we go. Let's go up an octave. Here we go. Ready? Let's get something with a little more attack than that. Let's try it up higher. One more time. That should be cool. This is obviously something you're going to want to play polyphonically. It's very nice. Cool. Again, I kind of wish I would have, let's see if this would work. Yeah, because there's a drop off at the end, the loop is going to not be, the loop points are going to be really obvious. Still a very nice sound. What was the other thing that I was thinking about doing? Oh, something with phasing, like this is how you do pulse width modulation on a Minimoog. You set one sawtooth to one direction and another sawtooth to another direction. Actually, we can probably just leave the sawtooth triangle, the sawtooth triangular there in oscillator 2. Okay, let's try it up higher. There's a lot of weird stuff happening in that. Okay, that let's see if we can get that rhythm out of there. I kind of like that, but let's do one without the rhythm. Let's take oscillator 2 out. That's messy, but really ideal for polyphony. because of the way the filter closes and the oscillators beating against each other and everything, this is just a really ideal polyphonic sound. And of course, because we've already got the filter going in the sound, we don't need to like make it super paraphonic sounding by using the filter here, although you obviously could, but it's just really a beautiful sound. Wow.
There we go. There are some Minimoog sounds that we can put on the MicroFreak. Now all I have to do is take those sounds out and chop them into individual samples, and then we will upload them to the MicroFreak.
So basically what we're talking about here is the Minimoog single sample translates super well to the MicroFreak. And who would have thunk it? That is amazing. Yes, I should actually make more of these and sell them because you need these Minimoog sounds on your MicroFreak. Absolutely.